Welcome to Talking About Speedway. Migro and Graeme Sinden with you. And Migro, we've had a plethora of Speedway, 5 nights of fury at the Perth Motorplex, including a historic 100-lap late model race. How good has it been?
Good to be with you, Graeme. Yes, we certainly got a lot of wonderful motortainment. The fans got a big bang for their buck Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and we crowned the new inaugural 100-lap champion in Warren Oldfield. So it was a wonderful week for him. We saw some wonderful stars come from overseas, and I think that most have got away with extremely good thoughts of the Motorplex and how they operate.
A historic moment. I mean, 100 laps never been achieved before. 4 late models I'm talking about. There's been some 100-lap speedcar races over the time, and I think there was a 100-lap super sedan race, or whatever it was in those days. But in Perth, Western Australia, 100 laps around a 500-metre clay track, 50 kilometres, never been attempted before. There's always grey areas. What's going to happen? Is it going to be successful? How will it work? What will it look like? And all of those sort of things. Well, I think all the questions have been answered now. And overall, for the first run, I thought it was a pretty damn good event.
Yeah, well, I don't ever remember doing a 100-lap for super sedans at Claremont. I'm not saying that they
I think in the East Coast, I was talking about referring to.
We did run a little Indy for speed cars and with a compulsory pit stop. It's the first time that we've had a late model race, and they also counted the laps. Some people criticised the fact that they were counting the laps when there was a crash or whatever it might be, but it was an experiment they had to go ahead with now, and I think that the late models really got to take a bow because they did demonstrate that you can race long races and they can be exciting, and maybe when they go back to the drawing board and have a little reflection on what they did or didn't do, they could probably make it better if they do it again in the seasons to come.
Oh, look, I'm sure, Con, every new event that you do, it's an inaugural event and you grow from there, but you've got to have a starting point, don't you?
Correct.
And I thought the starting point was very, very good. You just mentioned the rolling laps. I don't have a problem with rolling laps. I think there were a few unnecessary rolling laps and they could have shortened those down a bit and got on with the racing. But look, that they will learn from that. And apart from that, it was first rate, Con.
Yeah, well, one of the criticisms that I've had in recent times, as we both said, when they have that work area, some of them are using it like the local service station.
Yeah.
But many years ago at Claremont, we had a lot of problems with the speed cars. They would spin out, and so then I had to introduce the rule spin out, stay out, and it was quite amazing. Within 2 or 3 weeks, the speed car racing got cleaned up completely, and that's maybe something that we might have to look at. Well, not me, but the management might have to look at for sprint cars. I mean, we have the same people just about week in and week out are making the same mistakes. And a couple of times, particularly one race when young Nashi come off the bike track and come screaming down in front of the pack because he was a lap down. And little things like that. But and I'm not blaming the stewards. It's a very hard job to do, I know, but just gives you an example of the things that really have to be looked into.
Indeed. Well, we'll stay on the 50 laps for a short time, Con. On the screen now is Warren Oldfield and Shane Clanton, both leading cars at that point in time. And what a good job they did to get to the 50 laps and the compulsory pit stop. And if you look at that picture, Con, Jamie went out early, but there he is assisting Warren, who's out of the car, just having a check around. The crew are all around him, probably talking strategy for the next part of the race. So what a great shot from Peter Roebuck.
It is a brilliant shot, and it just shows you the drama that goes on and the things that go on in the pits that a lot of fans don't even get a chance to see. I would suggest that the American would have to feel a little bit downhearted. He won all his A-mains that he went into. But when it came to the big one that played the big bucks, Warren Oldfield just jumped the gun and gave them. We saw some fabulous racing in the final 50 laps with the young guy from Victoria in the 99 car. You had Clanton, and you could young 21 in Massara, and then Bo Oldfield in the 11 car. So really there was, and Joe Chalmers bombed out a little bit on the Saturday compared to his Friday show, but overall I should say, we saw some racing that we have never witnessed before in late models, and it's just fantastic that they've been able to run it. And the damage to motors and cars were not there that a lot of people thought would probably have been there.
Or tyres, Con.
Yep, correct. The track was very kind.
Track, yeah.
The track was extremely kind to tyres.
So, Con, you talked about the prize money and all of those sort of things, big money. 5 nights of fury over 9 days. I thought the whole program was good. Some people question Wednesdays, but I happen to like them, and it gives visiting drivers an opportunity to get in an extra race while they're here for the time and effort and money they've taken to get here in the first place. But $100,000 prize pool over the 5 nights of racing, Con, that's pretty good for late model, isn't it?
The only thing that I will say to Gavin and to Veronica, I think that when they're planning Wednesday and Friday nights in future, they probably could make the meeting start at probably 6 or 6:30, because I know myself, it took me an hour and 40 minutes to come from north of the river to where I live, and if you were coming further north, whatever, you'd be struggling, because we go down the freeway, and from virtually Mount Henry Bridge to Ankertell Road, it was like a car park. And that's because people were on the road, but they're trying to get there. So maybe a little bit later start might make them come in more numbers. I thought the Wednesday night crowd was bigger than the Friday night crowd, but then the Saturday night certainly made up and quadrupled the crowds of the last 2 nights.
Absolutely. And both the Saturday and the Friday night were done and dusted pretty quickly. So the point I'm making is, on the Wednesday night, you've got to go back to work on Thursday. It was a reasonable time to get home, into bed, so you can get up fresh for the day and the next day.
Well, one thing that we're achieving greatly, and we have in West Australia for many, many years, we have always steered to make sure that we finish at a reasonable time, particularly for parents with young children, to get them home, because no one wants to be sitting at a race meeting, which we've done, which we've seen all around Australia. The feature race is going on at 12:30 and 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's been no good to anyone. So I think myself personally that having a 10:30 finish time, sometimes you can run over that, but no later than 11 o'clock ever. That's it. There's a cut-out point. And I think that's working gangbusters, and it's working for the betterment of Speedway.
Yes, I understand that, Con, and agree with you, particularly as the colder nights start to come in, because you get the sea breeze straight off Kwinana Beach. But we've had a couple of easterlies the last number of nights, and it's been quite balmy. So even though we're getting deep into March now, and there's still some beautiful nights down at the Perth Motorplex.
We'll talk about that. Friday night I come down and I was quite cold, so Saturday night I thought I'll come dressed for the night, and it turned out to be a beautiful night, as you say, a very balmy night, and I probably could have got rid of a couple of shirts, but I said no, I kept them on. But it was really a tremendous to see the track, the racing, and the fans that turn up, and they got some wonderful motortainment.
Frank Scarterfield Smash Repairs put up a $5,000 bonus prize winner for the overall points leader of the 5 Nights of Fury for late models, Con. Frank comes up all the time with these things, doesn't he? Invests a lot of money into Speedway, and we ask that you support these people. If you've got a bit of paint damage or some crash repairs, get along and see the Scarterfield Smash Repairs people, because they invest a lot of money into Speedway.
They do, and I know that Frank's been doing a lot for sprint cars, but in particular this year he did a lot more for late models. And there's the end result. I think he got a big bang for his buck. I think he got rewarded. Warren Oldfield is a driver that he's been assisting along the line, and Warren rewarded him with winning his money.
Well, as you say, Warren Oldfield picked up that $5,000, and Rod Massara and Joe Chalmers were second and third. Remarkably, Shane Clanton was fourth in that competition in points, and goodness me, he seemed to win or be on the podium every time he went out on the track.
Yes, but he did, as you know, his whole assembly or underneath his car crashed, and so he lost one complete night, which was no fault of his own, but that's the way the sport goes. But when he was racing, he was pretty good.
Now, I wanted to show this, Con. This is what Warren Oldfield does in between his racing exploits on the 5 Nights of Fury out in the Swan River, collecting Swan River blue manna crabs, if you don't mind. And I just wanted to put this on to remind Warren that I haven't received my ice pack of crabs just yet. Have you got yours?
No, I'm cranky about that, because he actually phoned me and said, "You never guess where I am," and I didn't have a clue. I didn't even know he's a fisherman. He said, "Well, I'm in Perth water, looking at the skyline of the city," and he said, "I'm crabbing." I said, "Oh, man." And that's what he sent to us, as a beautiful pic of the blue manners,
Well,
which WA are famous for.
That's rubbing it in, isn't it? Not only is he out there enjoying himself crabbing, but he sends us a picture and no crabs. How cruel is that?
It's very.
That's the trouble with these late model blokes. They've got no heart at all.
No.
Oh, dear. But anyhow, look, Warren, I thought he was a standout, and look, he won that 100-lapper in his spare car, Con. It wasn't his good car, so a spare car that he won that in. And I think he took the approach that, he would go out and give his spare car a real rattle, and, if it got damaged or he did something to his engine, it wouldn't have mattered that much. But, well, when I say that much, it's still expensive, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the spare car, I think, did him very well. It's still a very, very fast car. That's the one that Jason drove earlier in the competition and came up with the goods. How good is that?
Yeah, and young Nicastri, the young Victorian who at some stage nearly pickpocketed the race, because this is the sort of racing we know that late models can do. And Clanton finished in third. I know he was disappointed. I spoke to him at the end of the night, and he was not grumpy, but he was down the dumps, because I think genuinely and rightly so, he would have thought that this is his race. He's won two of these big ones in America, so he is right at the top of the game in America. So it gives you an example of how good young Oldfield is. And of course, Nicastri, I had to talk to Nicastri's dad, who raced back in the Claremont days and the Super Sedan days. So that's a family that's had a huge commitment to Speedway and to particularly sedan-type racing, and now the late models.
Well, Nicastri, that was the best race he's put in the time that I've seen him, not just this year, but previous years. He was brilliant, and as you say, he nearly took the race out.
Correct.
He caught Warren napping a little bit, I think, Con, and Warren saw him go around and said, well, there must be something up there. So Warren started to move around the track, found some drive, and made short work of Ben after that. But what a great race.
It was brilliant.
And again, just getting back, 100 laps, Con, no mean feat for drivers and machines. And so to be congratulated, I thought all the drivers drove pretty well, and a large majority of the field finished the race.
Yeah, I think the Late Model Association have got to take a bow. I think their work that they did prior to the event, they tried to make sure they covered everything that could or couldn't go wrong, and they've planned it pretty well. And at the end of the day, I think the end result was that the spectators and everyone, we got a very memorable, enjoyable race.
I just want to pay tribute to this young bloke, Beau Oldfield. What a young competitor he is. He hasn't had one complete full season. Well, he will at the end of this season, but he's won events in feature races down at Albany. He won a feature race here in Perth, and he performed creditably over amongst some very, very experienced drivers over this campaign at 9 days or 5 days of racing in 9 days. I thought he was just brilliant.
Well, and he recently won the Calgary Esperance round of their season. I think another Oldfield is there. It's just proving what a wonderful family they go. Their father, or their grandfather in his case, and his dad, they all raced, and his uncle. So very, very talented family that know all about sedan racing.
Well, there were 4 Oldfields that started the campaign of 5 Nights of Fury. Jamie was there, didn't have any luck at all. I think he's done 3 engines now. And Jason, of course, drove the spare car that Warren finished first in the race earlier in the program, and then of course Beau, as we say, Oldfields. What a great family for racing, let alone late model racing.
Correct.
Talking about great families, Con, the Vosbergens, and Craig came out and blitzed the field in the opening night of the Friday night of the first night of this 5 Nights of Fury, and went set quick time. How good was that?
It was brilliant, and unfortunately, all that smoke coming out. We knew that was expensive, because the smell where we were standing watching the Speedway on that night, we said this is more than just a bit of overburden oil dropping onto an exhaust system. This was very expensive, and it proved that in the end, because he lunged a motor. And I spoke to him on the Saturday night prior to the meeting, and he said, yep, the motor's toast. So bad luck for him, but he's a brilliant talent, and we look forward. Probably this season is probably the worst that the 2 Vosbergens have ever had. And with young Brett's injuries and now Craig losing a motor, 26-27, I think we'll see them bounce back.
Well, let's hope so. But the point that I make on is Craig hasn't driven all season, comes out and sets quick time, and then he did it again later on. I don't know whether it was a Wednesday night or the Saturday night, but set another quick time. And when he was driving that car and it was a rocket ship, all of a sudden it started to smoke. Craig believed it was just an oil leak, oil onto the engine or exhaust pipe, and it proved not to be that, and a very expensive blow-up. So a great pity.
Not good.
Con, let's move on to speed cars, because they were, I think, on the Saturday night just gone, sensational. It was some of the best speed car racing I've seen for some time.
Well, it was, and this is the good thing about it. You get a couple of those good guys come back, like Fleming, and you've got Tom Payet, Jake Robinson. Tom Payet's probably not as fit as what he could be because he hasn't done a lot of racing this season. I think he was unfortunate to be beaten. There was a couple of stoppages there through the slower cars being lapped. One of the slower cars nearly took him out, and I think that God was looking at him, because I reckon that I could see that car going down the track upside down. He recovered it and did it. But Keenan Fleming, I take my hat off to him. He's a wonderful talent. He's just such a great little driver. And, he one time run out of fuel, and a couple of other times when he's been in winning positions, something's gone wrong. They got it all together. Jim, his father, mechanic and crew chief, did it all well for him, and there was the end result of a wonderful win.
Con, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
At Maddington Toyota, we're all about great deals, value, quality and service. Head to our website for quality new, demo and pre-owned vehicles with videos so you can find your perfect car. We can organise the details by phone and email and deliver the car right to you. Check out the entire Toyota range, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all backed by our real commitment to great service. Maddington Toyota, great deals and great service. Oh, what a feeling.
Saturday night is Speedway Grand Final night. It all comes down to this: the Migro and Graeme Sprintcar Series Grand Final. This is your last chance to catch a huge night of super speedway plus monster fireworks, stars in their cars, King Shot, Williamson, Manders, and a cast of the fast, wheel to wheel, wing to wing, monster fireworks on and off the track. The best of the best battled out for Grand Final glory. Bring your mates, grab your Grand Final tickets, motorplex.com.au.
Welcome back to Talking About Speedway. Con, Migro and Graeme Sinden with you. Con, let's move on now to the sprint cars, and again on Saturday night, what good racing all night long from sprint cars, including this guy, Caden Manders, back in top form.
Oh, it was brilliant, but we can't not mention the fact that the damage that was done in the A main. I think we did spurts of 8 or 9 laps, and then there was a crash, 8 or 9 laps, and crashed. And I think that some of the drivers have really got to learn to probably pace themselves a little bit more. Don't try and when you're trying to match the Caden Manders, the Dane King Shots, and the Callum Williamsons of the world, even the Daniel Harding, that it's a difficult task. So just find your own race, because they'll eventually get it, because these guys are very young, but they're very seasoned campaigners, and most of it had experience in other divisions like go-karts and speed cars. Like Dane King Shot's been an Australian speed car champion. Young Manders has been an Australian 360 sprint car champion. So look, just pace yourself a little bit and don't try and win it all in the first lap. You've got 30 laps to try and do it. I know it must be difficult and it must be tempting, but when you see the damage that gets done like they did last Saturday night, but also I think that the track, did you notice that moisture was coming up and the track did get faster as the night went on, and I think that probably that might have upset a few of the guys with the lesser skills. I did feel particularly sorry for Jack Williamson. He set fast time and is the first car out on the night, Graham. He won his heat. He looked very good. Even in the A main, he was in a very prominent position. He pulled up. I hope it wasn't a motor, but something went all of a sudden dramatically slow for him. Yeah.
Well, there is Jack and Chris Coyle, Callum Williamson, 3 heat winners. They were all brilliant on the night, and I thought James Inglis was good. He made a welcome return after about 5 weeks out of the cockpit, and he performed credibly. I think he finished 6th or 5th in the feature race.
Yes,
so it was a good result for
James.
James.
Did an excellent job.
Very pleased to see him. And if I just cut to this next picture, Con, let me just bring this up. I mean, this is sad to see. This is Brooke Newson, one of our lady drivers in sprint car racing, and it was a night that she would choose to forget, I'm sure. She spun the thing about 3 times during the evening before she got to the feature race, and then in the feature race, I think it was Brody Kostecki came by her and clipped the front wheel and sent her rolling. probably about 4 times end over end, and the car was junk at the end. So she's got a spare car. She's going to strip anything off this one that she can recover, and hopefully get it going for Kalgoorlie on the weekend coming. So best wishes to Brooke. She has a crack at it. Hasn't had probably her best season, but she's put in some nice steady races where she's been consistent, but Saturday night was not one of them.
Well, as I said, the track by this time got faster. The track got faster as the night went on. You just had to look at some of the lap times. There was one lap time given, and I'm not too sure if it was fair dinkum, but it was some at 11.11. If that was right, that means that was a good second faster than any guys ever gone around the track. So let's say they were going around 13 seconds a lap. That's very, very fast to be in an A main, and particularly in a 30 or 35 lap race.
I think that was a glitch in the system.
Yeah, it must have been.
Con, I mean, that would be a remarkable time. So
that's warnable time.
My nephew bought that. He sent a picture of the time, and he said, "Is this a lap record?" And I thought, well, if that's correct, that is. But I haven't had that confirmed. I think it was a glitch. There were a few gremlins floating around in the electric system on the weekend, so we'll put it down to that.
Well, not necessarily in the system. What it was that Scott Beattie went down to Margaret River for a big speedway meeting down there, and I think that the people that were operating it, they did it correctly, but there were little things that they haven't ever had to do before, and with him not being there, it probably threw the little bit of the cat into the bit of the ring a bit. But generally overall, that system did work well. So I think a little bit more like human error maybe might have contributed. I'm not sure anyway. So
right. So after all of the sprint car racing on that 5 Nights of Fury, sprint cars didn't race every night, but the wash-up of the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series, Dane King shot 2,990 points, still leading from Callan Williamson, who's got 2 second places to his credit on the last 2 outings. So he's caught up a little bit, but not enough to make any real dent in it.
No, but the other one that has changed, and that's between second and third, because Caden Manders now is only 26 behind Callum, and they've got Kalgoorlie this weekend, and then the Motorplex on the 28th, which is the final night as far as our weekend and week out speedway at the Perth Motorplex. And Caden Manders could run up into second place if Callum bombs out. Callum's had a wonderful run, the Diamond Bay team. He's dead stiff again to not win the feature race last Saturday night, but stoppages on the night played into the hands of the guys that were running second. And as what Carl Larson said, in an interview he was in Perth, he said sometimes when he beat J-Mac that particular time, sometimes in a race it's better to be chasing than to be leading. And there was a classic example again last Saturday night. Young Callum was making all the moves, but then Caden was smart enough to sit back and say, right, and when it was time to move, he moved. And he was a rocket ship. He's a brilliant driver, and I think that next year, now that team's all been together for a season, next year I think we're going to see something very special.
Yeah. Well, just getting back to leading rather than being in second place, if you're leading, of course, Con, you've got to make your way and your passage through back markers when you're overtaking people, and the guy coming second can see where you're doing, what's in front, whether you've gone high, low, and he can make adjustments and allowances for all of those things. So as you say, it's often better being in second place if you're quick enough to make a dive right at the end of the race where the money laps come in.
Correct. Well, you even take a Daniel Harding on Saturday night. Daniel had a rather forgetful meeting. He had some struggling for himself, and sometimes you very rarely see him make the sort of mistakes that he made. So they're all trying so hard. You've got the young AJ Nash, like he won the A main the week before, and last week he fell back well into the pack. So it just gives you an example. 7 days in politics is a long time, or 7 days in speedway is a nightmare sometimes.
Absolutely. So moving on, talking about points in the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series, now we're looking at the Boyan Upseller Sprint Car Driver of the Year in conjunction with the Spirit of Speedway. And I can tell you now, Con, that there are the points. Dane King shot on 120 points. Callum's moved up a little, 94 points. Caden Manders again, 64. So you're looking there really, Con, particularly with Dane, Callum, Caden and Daniel Harding as the top 4 drivers at the Motorplex at this present time.
Yep, there's no doubt about that, and Dane has got an absolute mortgage on that particular event. And in addition to all those wonderful awards they get, there's the Michael Figlamini Award. That's one of his trophies that his father's now being fixed up, and we'll eventually print the winner's name on at the end of the year. But look, that's been a tremendous competition. We thank Assured Lawnning and Buoyant Sellers and Kinchrome, because I know all awards are something that everyone would love to get and win.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I just wanted to put this one up, Con. A good friend of ours in Perth Motorplex, Kyle Larson, won the opening high limit event at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. How good is he?
Well, he's brilliant. And I remember once I took a tour to America and we hired the Motor Vegas Speedway for a day. We did the Richard Petty Driving School, which was at that stage owned by Barry Graham from New South Wales. And I took a group of people there. We hired the track and they had some laps, and it's a brilliant venue. The Speedway there's quite magnificent. Now, Larson, he actually spun early in the race, Graham, so he went back to stone motherless dice, but he kept the momentum going and he went through the field like a hot knife in butter and ended up winning the big A main, so good on him. And then young Corey Day was second, and the next night Corey Day turned the tables on his idol and beat Kyle. But look, that's been some fabulous work. In fact, Larson, I saw an interview with him the other week, he indicated that to him, in his opinion, sprint car racing is the best form of motor racing. So that came from his mouth.
Now moving on, Con, Ryan Newton, a good friend of ours here at the Perth Motorplex. He won the 360 LS Sprintcar Championship at Toowoomba Speedway over the weekend. Jai Corbett second and Jacob Jolly was third in that competition. He's a great driver, isn't he?
Well, Ryan Newton is a wonderful young man. He's from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. He's a young man who we saw when he raced it. The first time he saw the Motorplex, he won on the place.
Yes.
And we then tipped him to be a star of the future, and he has proved that completely. And we sort of claim him half a West Australian. It's a shame he has to be living in Queensland because it's raining one day and pouring down the next, but he should come over to the Sunshine State, which is truly Western Australia, for the commotion by the ocean.
Yeah, well, there he is.
Brilliant, good on him.
Still a young man, so he's got a big, bright future in front of him in sprint car racing, hasn't he?
Yep.
And Con, talking about bright futures and a great young man, have a look at this young man, Blake Iwanow. Has been only just come back from injury, only raced 2 race meetings and won 2 feature races. How good is that?
Well, on the Friday night, I'll say that he was gifted that one because Mackenzie was long gone. Mackenzie lost a motor. But look, the 2 Iwanow boys are fantastic. It must be funny around their toe because they go, yep, no, yep. They don't really have much conversation, but I did ring them on the Friday and congratulate them on the Saturday, congratulate them their fine effort and their mum. So I said, do they ever talk? She said, not much. But you know, these are young men that leave their talking on the racetrack. They leave it for their action. And look, both of them are so fantastic. I'm just thrilled that we've got this sort of talent in the ranks on the way up.
Right, talking about talent, Con, going back to Victoria, the Victorian Sidecar Championships just briefly. Tyler Moon and Adam Lavelle, who both have raced here at Pinjar Park up in Wanneroo area. Mark Playstead, Ben Pitt second, and it's pretty difficult to beat those two as a combination, I can tell you, former Australian champion. And, of course, Trent Headland and Jackson Rayner there in third place, another former Australian champion.
Yep.
Great job from both of those two, or all 3 of those 3 programs. And now, Con, I want to just move on to this. Let me just bring it up because it's important that we do so. You've got a little bit of an update on news, good news for Jasmine Latham.
Well, last Wednesday was her birthday, and she had a physiotherapy, which she's been having ever since that horrific accident. And she walked for the first time, and that is a miracle in itself. And I think the prayers from everyone at the Motorplex must be really winning way for her. But she did walk. And she's still got a long way to go, but she was so thrilled. She sent me a message to say that how thrilled she was. And we have been thinking for her, we've been praying for her, and we sincerely hope that she continues to show the improvement. She's a very dear friend of ours now, and poor old Joe's had to lose his season of racing, but I could understand how invaluable a friend and partner she is to him, not only in the business but in life itself.
Great news, Con, and what a wonderful family. And let's hope next year is a better year for them racing-wise. And Jasmine, of course, very, very keen about the sprint car racing and wants to get back into it with husband Joe, so looking forward to. her continued success, and already she's confounded the medical experts, surgeons and the like. So that's great.
In fact, the doctors, the surgeons, they used her as a bit of a guinea pig. They went back. They said they couldn't believe the progress that she's made, and that's fantastic.
I just want to bring this up quickly, Con. These are not yet confirmed as outright, and they're still in work in progress because there's another couple of meetings to go. Yeah. But Speedcar, this is Perth Motorplex Track Championships I'm talking about. So Jake Robinson in Speedcars, Dane Kingshot Sprintcars, in late models Joe Chalmers, in wingless sprints Brandon Sharp, he's done a great job, and Formula 500s, no surprise, Cody Taraccio.
Now I say to all those drivers, they've thoroughly deserved what they are. I say to young Jake, he's only a young man, and any young speed car driver for that matter, my little bit of advice to him is go and get some tapes on Kyle Larson when he's racing a speed car, and just study what he does, and if you can start to emulate him, I think you'll find that they're driving. Some of these guys are a little bit erratic on the racetrack, but I tell you, overall, if they just get their lines right, you don't have to sit up on the fence all night, because unless you can really handle a race car, that can be fraught with danger, can't it?
I agree with you, Con, and some of those guys probably, get along to Fast Fridays and Wednesday practice. That's the time to hone your skills, not on a feature race on Perth Motorplex.
Well, laps and more laps. Yep. It's like football or cricket. The more footballs you kick, the more cricket balls you in tennis, the more you hit, the better you become. And it's the same old story. Any sport you do, the consistency and repetition that you go into that will make you better.
Righto, a little ad on our own behalf, Con. Let's Talk Speedway, our radio show on 91.3 Sport FM, Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then on, not Friday at 2 o'clock, but Friday morning this Friday, 11 a.m. on SEN Radio 621 AM, The Spirit of Speedway. It's been moved because there's a live show for another major issue or a sponsor or something that they've got going on, so they've had to move our show to 11 o'clock in the morning, which suits us nicely, Con. Yep. But we just wanted to remind you, don't tune in at 2 because you will have missed the program. But you can go in and have a look at the podcast at a later date if you do happen to miss it.
And also just to note that Speedway Seasons Pass for 26-27 are now on sale. Get in early because there's some special little bonuses, and remember that gets you to every race meeting for the 26-27 season, and I know that's a very, very good value. So just get in touch with the Motorplex and they will look after you.
Absolutely. Just quickly, don't forget to watch out for Let's Talk Sprint Cars on the big screen at the Perth Motorplex Saturday afternoons prior to racing, so there's one more opportunity for fans to watch out for that program, Con. That's our show for today. Big show, lot to talk about. Congratulations to the late models and their 5 Nights of Fury event. Congratulations to the Perth Motorplex and how they handled that event, and we're looking forward now to the 28th of March for the grand final.
Good to be with you, Graeme, and look forward to seeing you on the 28th.
Thanks for your company. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll do it all again this time next week. Bye for now.